Hello, good evening. You're welcome to Opinion Sharers. My name is Paul, and it's evening here in Asia. So, this evening we are going to be talking about Africa, overcoming tribalism and ethnic ethnic prejudices. I think it's no news to us when we talk about issues such as racism, especially for those who live outside of Nigeria. Because for me, until I stepped out of Nigeria, I didn't actually understand the concept of racism. In fact, up to last year, when people were talking about when when people were talking about uh, Black Lives Matters, when Floyd was killed in America, many Africans actually, especially those who relocated to America, were actually saying there's no big deal about what happened. That, in fact, they were pointing out at Floyd's life, saying he was a criminal and all of those things. And that afforded me opportunity to do my own independent study. And I found out that many of us Africans who relocated, we didn't actually understand the concept of racism compared to the Africans who were descendants of the slaves. Now, when you look at Africa, I used to think maybe it's also a thing that's peculiar to Nigeria, but I found out that tribalism it's an African thing. It's very common across Africa. So that's why we are going to be discussing tribalism in Africa today, and we'll look at. I want us to kind of open people's eye to it. I was discussing with Mom Dorothy a few days ago, and I told her that I want us to start the discussion to kind of begin a discussion around it, because it's like something that is in our midst, but we are not conscious of it. So I am hoping that we are, kind of snowballing into the discussion such that other people from another country, other parts of Africa, continent, and Africans across the world would also begin to discuss the issue of tribalism and its implications. So tonight, I have James, who is a Ugandan, and we are supposed to have Aisha, but she just sent me a message that she's in the hospital. Aisha is from the Niger Republic. So, but I have Mom Dorothy, who is an Igbo woman, and the village boy, a Yoruba man. So, um, maybe let's just introduce ourselves briefly, at least, especially for James, who is relatively new. This is his second time on this platform. Hello, James, are you there? James is connecting from Uganda. I don't know how strong his internet is. James, if you can hear me, please introduce yourself.
It's muted. He has to unmute. Unmute yourself, James.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I think James is struggling. Village boy, introduce yourself. Let's continue. We're already 4 minutes is gone.
You're already oppressing my sister.
No,
Madam Dorothy should have introduced herself first. Okay,
you
I'm the village.
understand.
I am the village boy.
Okay, Mom Dorothy, I'll say you know best. So yeah, introduce yourself. You are muted.
You men say we should be submissive in all everything, so I'm submissive here. My name is Dorothy Chinenyenwa. That's my Facebook page. Dorothy Chinenyenwa. Thank you.
Thank you, ma. I think James is still having issue with his network, but hopefully he would be able to find a solution to it and join the conversation, because I want us to have a robust discussion as it may be. as much as we can possibly do so. So I'll start with the village boy with a question. What is tribalism?
Well, thank you so very much. Tribalism, I would say, has both positive and negative connotation. And it's a state of living in a tribe or a state of organized or being organized in a tribe or tribes. So also it's a behavior and attitude, that create a kind of strong loyalty to one's own tribe or social group. So tribalism can be static. When you talk of somebody from the same tribe, you share the same affinity, you share the same culture, you share the same language. That is what I would call static tribalism. Tribalism also can be very circumstantial, where in an environment, the person that is closest to you, when you are in a group of people that are different from one another, the person that is closest to you, though you may not share the same language, you may not share the same culture, but because that is the nearest of the people to you, that could also become a kind of tribalism. If I can give an example of that, for instance, if I'm in Nigeria with Madame Dorothy and we're in Onitsha, of course, we are different tribes. You will see me as Oyofe Mano in Onitsha, and she will probably introduce me for like that. But let's say we meet on the street of London and we are walking, and I just hear from my back, Enyami, she speaks Yoruba very well, and I look at her and I say, Madame Dorothy, now you be this. At that moment, she's my tribe. We are the same tribe. So that is circumstantial tribalism. In Nigeria, it is tribal because it's cultural and linguistic tribalism because we meet in Onitsha, which is our base. I am a Yoruba man, she's an Igbo woman. That time, the tribal difference is language and culture. But when we meet on the street of London, we are both from Nigeria, and we can also speak common language, which is Yoruba language, though it's not our language. But that is circumstantial tribalism. So it is that is what we call tribalism. Could also be a kind of social group affiliation. So at that moment that I see out the city of London, we have a connection. At that time, we no longer remember that we are from different tribes in Nigeria. We see ourselves as one. We have the same group, social group now, because we understand ourselves. So the same way when in the same hall with a Jamaican and maybe somebody from Asia, the guy from Jamaica becomes my tribe circumstantially. So we have to understand it because that's the one that is static. Even between you and myself and Paul now, because we are from the same Ekiti, that is static tribalism. But if you are in a room with somebody from Ijebu or somebody from Lagos, Paul becomes my primary tribal person because we are from the same geographical area. So the other guy, though we still share the same language, the same culture, we are becoming like secondary tribalism. There is primary tribalism, there is secondary tribalism, or there is static tribalism, then there is circumstantial tribalism. Thank you.
Okay, village boy, thank you very much. I'm sure you did an extensive research. You indeed prepared for this. Thank you very much. I would want to ask Mom Dorothy, looking at the aspect that Village Boy has taken, it's very good. It's positive aspect of tribalism, which is social and cultural. And I believe it's one of the ways that Africans have maintained their social cultural identities along the generations. Now, would you think, do you think tribalism as it is in Nigeria, for instance, do you think it has been positive? Mom Dorothy.
Tribalism, particularly in my country, Nigeria, has become cancerous. Is hatred blown to the highest level. Like Village Boy said, there are good attributes, positive attributes of ethnicity, tribalism. This man is from my tribe, he's my brother. Those are the good aspects of it. They will have forgotten the cultural aspects of it that we need to learn from each other. We've forgotten all that. We are now just hating. But when you talk about this topic, I told you it's like we are going to waste our time because people are not interested, they're not willing to love. They just want to remain with that hatred. And I don't know where they got that kind of hatred from. Because when we were all born as babies, none of us had a choice in the hospital to choose which tribe will take my delivery, which tribe will attend to my mother. We are all, when a woman is in labor, she doesn't have time to say, I don't want a Yoruba doctor, I don't want Hausa, I don't want Igbo. She is free at the hand of the doctors and nurses. So also the baby. But after that experience, where a non-tribe saved your life, a non-tribe gave delivery to you, gave you your first birth, you come to the world, and you begin to hate that same tribe when you come across them. So, and it is the problem of parents. Our ancestors who started this hating of Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa, they did so because they didn't know better. They didn't have exposure, they didn't have education, they didn't even have religion then, back then when they started this thing. But religion came to preach love. Yet, all of us remain with that story of the old. The Yoruba man that hurt the Igbo man was an ancestor, he's dead. The Hausa man that hurt the Yoruba, vice versa. They are all the people that started this, they are all dead. Why can't we, the new generation, rewrite this story? Why can't we stop hating, stop fighting the battle of our ancestors who are no longer living? Because when you have your child today, even our ancestors didn't travel. They didn't travel anywhere, so they didn't mix with people. Now we have children who travel all over the world. What if you travel and the next man that will hate you is a Yoruba man or Igbo man or Hausa man? And you say because you hate him, you allow him to hate you. Imagine there's an accident. People who run to you there, you don't know their tribe. You're not even willing to ask for their tribe. You need help. It could be a Yoruba man attending to an Igbo man, Hausa man attending to you. So if we begin to hate, continue to hate like this, I don't know where we are heading with it. The hatred in Nigeria through tribalism is worse than the racism all over the world. I say all is too much. If you go to the market to buy onion, for example, from an Hausa man, once you speak any tiny Hausa, he will give you a lot of onions. He will sell for you and sell you well and give you a lot to take away. And if you go to a Yoruba man too, you speak Yoruba, you are at home, you will have a good bargain. Then you go to an Igbo man, you are not Igbo, you are not Yoruba, forget. He will not deal with you in the utmost good faith. He will try to deal with you with hatred. Sell things to you more expensive. Just what is all that? The funniest, annoying thing, the most funniest and annoying thing is that Nigeria is a country that has highest number of Christians, not me not say Christians, religious people, religious houses. Even the Muslims are plenty, the Christians are plenty. What if the pastors and imams begin to preach this thing in their churches? The Christian believer, they believe their pastor, they believe their imam, they obey them. Why not begin to rewrite these stories? Why not begin to teach them that love is everything that conquers the world? We were all first humans before we became tribes. So the churches and the mosques, they need to help us. This hatred is eating too much into us. And we as parents at home, when we sit down in our houses, we castigate the Igbo man. If I'm a Yoruba, I would tell bad stories about the Igbo man that my children already hate the Igbo they've not met. Yoruba man too tells his children against the Igbo that the children hate. Hausa will do the same thing. Right in our houses, we castigate ourselves. But our children carry this hatred in our mind. We keep sowing this seed of hatred from generation to generation. So I want to appeal the churches to start repeating this thing that love. After all, the Bible says if you have a grudge with your neighbor and you want to give offering, drop the offering at the altar, go back and make up before you come and give to God. It's the same thing with prayer. If you want your prayers to answer, you cannot be praying to God with a bitter heart. You go to religious houses, the pastor decree blessings, you shout amen. If you like, shout the highest amen. That amen will not pass the ceiling of that church or the house where you are shouting it because you are a bitter heart. You have a bitterness in your heart. Your prayer will not be answered. You will delay yourself. And at the end of the day, you say, great people are doing you. If your neighbor is the next person to you, That next person you see in the office, anywhere you are, the next human being is your neighbor. So if you do not love your neighbor, you do not love God. You do not know God. For God is love. So what are we doing hating each other? The other day I was walking on the street and a black man saw me. He was screaming, screaming. I looked at his direction. I took away my eye because he was looking like, like a crazy man. So I was afraid. I kept walking. He kept screaming. Then I stopped. And I looked at him. I said, me? He said, yes, 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 yes. He became excited. And I stood. He started walking towards me. Then the man passing by said, be careful. See, I was afraid. So as he was walking towards me, he noticed that I was afraid. He's a black man. He saw that I'm black. He noticed that I was afraid. And I said, no, no, I'm not going to hurt you. I saw that you're my sister. I'm from Ethiopia. Yeah, all I need, I just need to eat. I need money to eat. So he smiled and I smiled back at him. What did I smile back at him? So that he can relax in case he wants to, harm me, so that he will know that, So we smiled to each other. Then I brought out my purse. As I was bringing the about giving him money, he smiled the more, and I smiled the more, and I gave him. He was so happy. Many people we are passing, he didn't do that to any other person, but as soon as he saw me, it's like I've seen my brother, I've seen my sister. So that's how we should treat ourselves. We should also do that, treat every human being right. But when you see your brother, your sister, we have the same color. You should show love. Forget about his Yoruba, his Hausa, his Igbo. I don't know. God does not have tribe. God has human beings, for crying out loud. And a country that has the highest religious people and houses should do better. Should be an example of love to the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you, thank you. You already you already mentioned the issue of the religion houses and all, because I have it in my note. I was going to mention the fact that in some places in Lagos, you hear people talking about Yoruba church, Igbo church. You know, I also learned, I may be wrong, or maybe not entirely correct, but Village Boy can correct me, that in the north, if you go to the north as a Muslim, as a southern Muslim, there is possibility that you will not be allowed to lead in the mosque that is Muslim core not majority. Anyway, that's about that. I want to ask James, while preparing for this, I read a lot of articles, a lot of, in fact, academic papers that have been published on this topic. And so I learned that in most of the African countries, it's only Tanzania, that has uh, relatively moved and triumphed over the damaging impact of tribalism. And it is, I think the credit of that goes to Julius Kambarajige. I don't know, Nyerere. So I want James to comment about the presence of the prevalence of tribalism in East Africa generally. James is connecting from Uganda.
Well, thank you, Paul. Good evening, dear friends. I'm glad to meet Village Boy once again. I'm glad to see you, Paul. Mama Dorothy Frank Taylor, I'm glad to see you and to be on this show together with you. In the first place, my name is James, as you could have seen it on the screen. I am a Pan-Africanist. I am a young person, I'm a youth, but I'm a family man, and well, I am passionate about issues that bind us together, issues that are actually going to take us and Africa at large to another step than those issues that are actually going to bring us down. Now, fast forward, in my view, tribalism is a bone in the neck for Africa's development. It is everywhere across the continent. And I would want to just imagine it has not started today. I think it was there even during the times of our forefathers, and we have lived in it. Now the task is upon us to see whether we can put our efforts together and end it with us, our generation, or at least to reduce the prevalence of tribalism in the future. First and foremost, I would not want to comment on Tanzania before I comment about my own country. Charity begins at home. That's what we are told. Uganda, as a country, first and foremost, is a country of so many tribes. I was preparing for this and I just got to remember, I found somewhere, we are having 54 different tribes. Now, those are 54 different cultures, 54 different languages. When you go down to the south, Tanzania, which we just talked about, has about 120 tribes. 120. So you add those of Tanzania plus those of Uganda, you'll tell me the number at the end. Kenya has about 42 tribes. Okay, I'm looking at East Africa. Kenya has 42 tribes, while Rwanda and Burundi have 3 tribes each. And so I will come to that also. I am told DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, has over 200 tribes, while South Sudan has about 64 tribes. Are we together? Fast forward, these tribes were not created by any leader presently. We have all become victims of circumstances who have fallen prey of these tribes by a right of birth. And you can never change your tribe. And you have no right to apply to change your tribe to another tribe. So East Africa alone has close to over 300 tribes. Now, those are over 300 cultures, over 300 languages. So within those tribes, you can see some sense of competition. There is no way we can actually talk a common language. Every other tribe is competing against the other in terms of wealth, in terms of social influence, in terms of, so it comes from the smallest community where these 54 tribes are, it comes to national level. And now the competition goes further up to the regional level. Mind you, you must also put in mind that these tribes, a few of them, just a handful, I think even less than 1%, are international. Just to say, you may find a tribe in Uganda and a tribe in Kenya, or a tribe in Uganda and a tribe in DRC. I am glad I belong to such a tribe. I am a Mukonjo, or a Mukonzo, for that matter. That's how we say it. I'm a Mukonzo, coming from the western part of Uganda, at the border with the Democratic Republic of Congo. Now, the biggest percentage of our tribe belongs in the Eastern Congo. So we are just neighbors to our tribesmates who live in the Eastern Congo. And so in a way, we have the same culture, do the same business and things like that. But how did we come to be in Uganda and others remained in Congo? Scramble and partition for Africa. So these are actually tribes. Some of them are creations because of the colonial masters. And that's the reason why we have continued to think and look at ourselves in terms of tribes other than in terms of our strength and in terms of our moral character, our values. So to say, why has Tanzania kind of like moved ahead of many other African countries in terms of negating the tribal inclinations? I would want to say that probably, I'm not an authority about this, but I would want to say, I think basically because of the language that they use in Tanzania. Because amongst all these tribes, the 120 tribes, all of them literally speak Swahili. And so they are easy to communicate as a country. There is no one who will speak something and someone doesn't understand it. They will think together, plan together, talk together, and that is what I could look at as a unifying factor and something that has made Tanzania cross over the boundaries of tribalism that some of us are still actually enclaved in as compared to many other African countries. I have had the privilege to visit Nigeria and live there for a fortnight. But I could quickly tell when I visited the Ministry of economic planning and budget of the Lagos government. The greeting style of the Yorubas is not the greeting style of the Fulani. So we had some participants who had come from the northern part of Nigeria, others who had come from, I think, Cross River State and Delta State, things like that. Now, the differences could quickly be seen. If you don't greet someone very rightly, there you have a problem. So I could quickly resonate with the Nigerians, looking at my own very background, that you want to plan for a country, but you can't speak the same language. And now these languages have actually earned some great status quo for a social influence for some tribes. If your tribe is in power, there you have it. You may even change the official language from English to your own local language. These are things that are happening even in Uganda here. Okay? So I think Tanzania has surpassed many of us simply because even when the president is addressing the country, he's going to address them in Swahili, which every citizen understands. I have had a chance, the privilege to visit Tanzania in 2018. Is it 2018? No, 19. I had the maiden visit to Tanzania. But I went to some offices with my English. No one responds to you because they don't know English. The language there is Swahili. So I had to fit it to speak my broken Swahili to fit myself within the what? The community. So in religion, in business, in politics, in everything, even when there are so many tribes, but the language unifies them, which you cannot find anywhere else. So you can imagine with the rate of the DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, over 200 tribes. When will they ever really reason together? When will they ever understand one another? So for me, that is what I actually called up as one of the most captivating challenges that we shall grapple with. And it is very, very, I'm sure we shall get there, but it is still too early for us to make recommendations. But one of the recommendations I would really quickly make is that for us as a country,
would have time to make recommendations.
Please, we shall get there. Yeah, thank you very much. Let me end it there.
Yeah, definitely, you would have time to make recommendations. Thank you very much. That was beautifully, prepared. He has touched a lot of things in his speech, in his opening speech, But when you look at, he talked about the differences in languages and the divides among us. I was going to ask, because both Village Boy and Mama Dorothy are elderly people. So I was going to, because I believe, I'm a person who believes that if you don't know where you are coming from, tendency are that you don't know where you are going. All right. If you don't know the cause of something, you probably would never find the solution. In Nigeria, it is believed that we have around 520 different languages and over 300 tribes. Okay, and it is believed that it is one of the major challenges that we're having in Nigeria. But I want us to look at the reason why tribalism has become a big challenge in Africa. But taking a cue from what we are having in Nigeria. So I'll start with Mommy Dorothy, and then the Village Boy would answer the same question. Why is it a big deal? Why is it that we don't see it as differences, multi-ethnic? Why is it that it is not an advantage, but it's gradually becoming evil? Mommy Dorothy, you go first. You are muted.
Yeah, I said earlier that it's because even right from in our homes, our children listen to us when we talk with so much bitterness against the other tribe. And then we do not try to teach our children, even when our child comes back from school and then says, let's assume I am in Igbo, like I'm Igbo now, then my child comes back from school and says a Yoruba student did something to him or her. As an Igbo, I'll be so angry that a Yoruba, Njofe Mano, bad people, wicked people, did this to my. I'm ready to fight. I'm at war. My reaction will be different if it is from the same Igbo that hurt my child. So right from these behaviors, right from in our homes, we teach our children these things. So our children does not know that it's bad. They carry it on. They teach their own children. So that is how we got to where we are today. Now, as an Igbo lady, if I go for an interview in an office and the person, the head of the interview panel or the interview members are all Yorubas, I will never get that job. No matter how intelligent I am, no matter how much I perform, I won't get that job. Tribe will rule it out for me instantly. And they will feel good about themselves. They will feel happy doing that. They will feel like, yes, one done, many more to go. How? How the hell are we? How the hell did we get there? We read the Bible, we go to church, we go to mosque, we hear about love. Now, what we do not know is that when you do such things, your children will repeat somewhere, wherever they go in life. Somebody will shortchange your children. Because whatever we do in life, we repeat. But if you are nice to whomever you come across, you give love, you allow people to favor and all that. Believe you me, your children will not struggle. They will struggle, but they will find favor. Nobody will shortchange them. So this thing continues because we don't see anything wrong in it. And like I said, it is killing us and eating us so deeply inside us. You can imagine for an Igbo or Yoruba to get admission in a outside university. It's a tug of war. A Yoruba student to get admission in the Eastern University is a tug of war. And Igbo too. So how are we going to do? Okay, look at some Yorubas in Lagos will never allow an Igbo to rent house to become their tenant. So also some Igbos would not allow a Yoruba man or woman to become their tenant. You won't rent houses to other tribes because they are. I mean, why? Would you prefer a human being like you to be on the street because you won't give him accommodation just because he's an Igbo man, Yoruba man, or Hausa man? Not that he has done anything against you, not that he's a criminal, not that he has done you just because he's Igbo, you zero your mind. Because he's Yoruba, you zero your mind, you say never. How do we do these things? It's so, when you brought up this topic, I said, are you sure we're going to achieve anything? It's so much into us. And that's why I say the churches, they have crowd, they have the audience, and the audience believe in them. The Muslim, the mosque, the imams, the pastors, they have the voice. They can help us. Let's start to teach people that love is everything in this world. Love, I tell you. Your children will go far in life if they have that mindset to give everybody the opportunity to prove themselves. If they say an Igbo man is a thief, give me an opportunity to prove to you that I'm a thief, then you can confirm. Now in Lagos, if there's a fight between a Yoruba and Igbo, like my joy, for instance, I was there one day shopping in my 12. There's Igbo man and Yoruba guy fighting. The woman I was buying things from, the moment she hears Omo Igbo fake by Yoruba, she ran off. All of them run off. Hey, Omo Igbo, I took my mommy, kill her. So I ran along with them and I started speaking Yoruba. I started trying to. So this is how it is. So also Igbos, if they hear a Yoruba man is fighting with an Igbo, all of them will run there just to kill the Yoruba. Nobody wants to know what did that person do. One day in the Ikorodu garage, an elderly woman was insisting that an outside guy selling tomatoes with wheelbarrow must leave the spot where he was. I was passing by. I said, Mommy, why do you want him to leave? He said, this is not a outside land. He has to leave. I said, no, ma. He's a Nigerian. What do you mean? He has to leave? He said, he cannot stay here. I said, he will stay here, madam. I'm going to call the police. He will stay here. He's an house. He's in Nigeria. Let him go to North and sell. So how far, how long are we going to be doing this? We can start to rewrite these stories from our home, from our churches, from our offices. Let's preach love, please. Because if you are a heart that loves, that appreciates people, you will be at peace with yourself. Don't look at the story I told about that guy I gave money. I was so happy. We were both smiling. He left the place happy. I left the place happy. That is how we should live. So we started from the home to retell these stories so that children will carry from where we stopped. Let's stop spreading this hatred for other tribes. It will not help us. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, ma. I want to ask the village boy now. Instead of repeating the same thing, perhaps I will add it up with another one so that it becomes double barrel because of time. And when you looking at bearing in mind this question that Mommy Dorothy just attempted, I want you to look at the fact that um, when we go abroad, Africans, we complain about how non-Africans, how they treat us. Whether in Asia or whether in America or European countries, you know that you are never at home, no matter how many years you live, because they will always look at you based on the color of your skin. I've experienced it many times here in Asia. And but when you look at Africa also, do you not? Are we not hypocrites? That's my addendum.
Thank you very much. In my opening speech, I talk about that tribalism can both be positive and negative. I also identify static tribalism and circumstantial. What Madam Dorothy shared about the Ethiopian woman, that is circumstantial tribalism. Because the man, why did the man approach her? Because he has the confidence that this is a black woman like me. This person should be able to understand me. I'll be able to understand my situation. So he approached her with that confidence. That is the positive aspect of tribalism. But the negative aspect, unfortunately, is what we see more in Nigeria, whereby you now see, you don't see the other person, you don't see the humanity of the other person. You see him from the primes of his language or his culture. And it is not even, I bet you until recently, it was almost a taboo for somebody from Ekitina, for instance, to marry an Ijebu or Igba person. They told us from day one, don't marry Ijebu man, don't marry Ijebu woman, don't marry Igba. That is a sub-tribe within the Yoruba. So it is not even a case of Yoruba versus Igbo now. But many people, many of us, we broke that barrier. For instance, I'm married to a beautiful Igbo woman, and I'm not ashamed of that. So, yeah, you are my in-law. So, and the more you do this, and all my children, they all have both Yoruba and Igbo name. So, because they share the blood of both. So, there's a lot of intertribal marriages now, and a lot of things are going on. Then, also, there are some bad eggs sometimes that make people to generalize attitude of some other people. But I also agree with Madam Doro that look, deal with the individuals on the basis of who they are. Let an individual prove themselves who they are. There was a day I was walking on the street. I was trying to, I was doing some psychological tests during winter. You know, winter here, everybody dresses, everybody cover up everything. I was looking somebody from behind. I said, okay. I was asking myself, can I differentiate whether this person is Africa or is black or is Asia or is white? I could not. Then I increased my space that, okay, to prove whether this my theory will work, I want to know, and I run past that person. And when I look back, the person turned out to be Asian. So, and I asked myself, look, okay, if I choose to be colorblind, if I choose to treat individual with their humanity first, if I see their humanity first, before their color or before their language, then I'll be able to relate with the individual as human being. Incidentally, every organ in our system inside is all the same. If I am a O positive black person, I can donate blood to O positive white person. The same thing to O positive group of Asian people. They will use my blood and nothing will happen to them. So which means it is this outer pigmentation that is creating problem in us. Then back to Nigeria, the language, even the language, the three major languages it's just like they have become dominant. There are so many variants, there are so many languages. Like you rightly said, close to, I think, about 270 or more in Nigeria. But because these three own, have been dominant over the period of time, people have used it positively and negatively. If you have read my book, The Thoughts of a Village Boy, I wrote a chapter about nepotism. I narrated a story where we were in Kaduna and I was with people from my village. But because I was able to speak Hausa very well, Hausa soldier was buying me palm wine. And he gave me money because I was able to speak his language. And he was asking me where I came from. I told him I lied. I told him I was from Jos, that my mother was from Jos. And he asked me to explain. He was asking me, and I know Jos geography in my head. He was asking me all the corner of Jos. I was telling him. He was convinced. The guy was busy at that I should. He even bought for my friends. I gave him money. I was a student then. So that is the positive aspect. There is that connection. There is that attraction. It's like a magnet. But we can deliberately choose to use it for positive outcome. Currently, we are using it for negative outcome. If you see the other person humanity first, either you speak the same language or not, you will give respect to them and you will treat them as human beings. If you are able to do that, we go ahead and achieve better results. Yes, coming to the second aspect, why do we complain when we are victim of racism outside? See, there is a proverb that a killer, somebody who kills for a life, for living, the moment he see another person with the cutlass, he's already jittery because he know the consequences. He know the consequences of that thing that guy is holding. You see somebody who is who shoot people for life, for living. If you hold a gun around him, he will tell you, put that gun down. He doesn't want it to be done to him. And coming to religion, what does the Bible say? Love your neighbor as yourself. What does that mean? It doesn't mean love your tribe. Love only those who speak your language. And they even ask him, who is your neighbor? And that is how the story of the Good Samaritan came. Not necessarily the person that you even speak the same language. Somebody that you can be of help to is your neighbor. But like I said, there's usually that affinity, in tribe that is very good that we cannot wish away. But what we can focus is that how can we change the trajectories of utilizing this affinity for positive outcome? Yes, it is good that Tanzania has moved ahead and they adopted Swahili as official language. But deep down, people of the same time will still know themselves. But you cannot bring it to the fore. Like today in Nigeria, if you are looking, there's a study we published recently with myself with other people, and we are recommending the issue of unification of languages. But in Nigeria today, I said we are going to adopt Pidgin. If there is no either of the three languages that we want to adopt, that everybody will accept. If we say, okay, we want to change lingua franca to Hausa, people will say no way over there, but they won't accept. If you want to use Igbo as an official language, say for where, it's not going to happen. They will even tell them they are the minority tribe. They will give you all kind of name. If you want to say Yoruba as official language, they say no, we won't accept that. So if you want to go the route of language, it says in Nigeria, it's only Pidgin we can use. But you also know that in Nigeria, Pidgin has variation. So because when you talk of Sapele Pidgin now, that one is grade 1. That was, then the regular Pidgin. So, but beyond language limitation, beyond color limitation, if you see the other person in their humanity first, this person is a human being. It's not an animal, it's not a goat, it's not a dog, it's not a cat, it's a human being. And he has the same organ in him, like you. I've not seen a white man who has 3 eyes. I've not seen an Asian who has 4 eyes. I've not seen a Yoruba man who has 2 heads. If they will call him a brother if he has 2 heads, and they're likely going to kill him. So if we see our humanity first, then we are going to be able to overcome the negative aspect of tribalism. I wouldn't dismiss tribalism completely as bad, as evil, but it's what we use it for that is more important here. So we have to preach love. We have to say, look, don't judge people based on what the other person, even if it is of the same blood, even if they are twins. If you have 2 twins, if because one of the twins has offended you, you cannot conclude that the other 2, the twins are evil, because only one person has offended you or done evil to you. So let us treat one another first as fellow human beings. Then let us walk more in love. Then we'll be able to overcome the negative aspect of tribalism. Tribalism is not bad, but when we use it for negative aspect, it becomes bad. I am Yoruba and I will never remain Yoruba. If somebody speaks Yoruba, there is that something in me that's, oh, this is my guy. The same thing when I'm dealing with a Yoruba man and an Ekiti man come into the room and the guy speak Ekiti, my attention will shift more to the guy from Ekiti. It is a natural consequence, but we don't have to allow that to be cloud our judgment in related to one another based on our common humanity. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Village Boy. Fisayo here said, in most cases, this connection, like the one you said you enjoyed when you were able to speak in Hausa, and the Hausa man who is a soldier, blesses you. She believes that in most cases it is to the detriment of other people. Whereby, for instance, in government appointment, you can have somebody, because you speak the language, they can give you a job that you don't even qualify for, whereby they deny the same opportunity from people who actually merit it. That's, by the way, I just want to put across Fisayo's comment. Thank you. Okay.
To respond to that?
No, please.
Oh, okay.
We will not have time. I think Madam Dorothy needs to go soon, so I would want her to quickly take this time now to summarize her point, and then because ordinarily I would have supposed to ask James a question. So James, please hang on. Let her respond because she needs to go somewhere. Madam Dorothy, please go ahead, and yeah, I want you to
Thank you
focus
so
on
much.
way out, way forward, and especially
Okay.
when you look at our society, we have prejudices based on where we say there's a particular name we call Yoruba people in Nigeria when you are not a Yoruba man, and the Igbo people, there is a name we call them. There's a way derogatory way of describing them. The same way with Hausa. So how can we sort this? If you can focus on that and hand up, thank you.
Okay. It all still seems out of love in our hearts. And if they say, do unto others what you wanted to do unto you, the Igbos call Yoruba man Ofe Mano. The Yoruba call Igbo Ajekutama Momi. I don't know how they arrived at those names. And then the Hausa man, I don't know. So it is all out of love. It's because we have no love in our hearts. We do not understand what love is. We think love is a gift. We think love is an innermost innermost part of you that says to love even a stranger. Look at Abraham. His prayers were answered because he was nice to strangers. So being nice to strangers is the best thing you can do in life. Seeing the next person, we are all human before tribe. We are all born as human beings. And then way forward is, like I said, you see, the Christians hate the Muslims. It's still because we do not know God. We do not have love. If you have love, you would not hate a Muslim. You will not hate a Christian. Even within the Christendom, they don't like denominational churches. This one is Orthodox, this one is Pentecostal. What it all boils down to not having love. So what we all need in this world is love. Love overrides these things. If we can genuinely, we pretend to know God, we do not know God. Because how would we not love? Some of us have house heads, artisans that we treat anyhow, owe them salaries, pay them, just treat human beings as if they do not matter. Then you forget that everybody goes to 6 feet one day. You will die and leave everything you have lived for. How would you deny a qualified person a job because it's not from your tribe, for crying out loud? Then you go home and sleep. What else is witchcraft if not that? Hatred to me is witchcraft. You say you are the village, an old woman in the village, you call the person witch. No, you that is in the town, young man, doing all this evil against your fellow human beings, it is witchcraft. If you do not know, I want you to know that today, that is tantamount to his witchcraft. You live in UK, you live in Canada, you scream racism. When you come back to Nigeria, you have a house in Nigeria, you built to, and you told your agent, don't give Igbo man my house, don't give Yoruba man my house, don't give Hausa man my house. But there you are in UK and Canada screaming racism. What exactly is the meaning of that? Even when you come back to Nigeria, you still practice the same racism you scream against in foreign country, and you have no conscience. Another thing is, all of us, most of us have no conscience, I tell you. If you have conscience, you will be able to ask yourself, why am I doing this? You should feel bad. You should not be able to sleep when you maltreat a fellow human being. You go home and sleep, and you say you're not a witch. There is, I don't know, look for dictionary witch. You are a witch if you do that. And then, now, talking about language, you can only accept pidgin. But you see, if you tell Hausa man or Igbo man you want to take Yoruba, or Kole Woko, Yoruba ke, Igbo ke, what is all that for? All of us will die one day. Please, I want us, in conclusion, remember anything you do in this life, just one day, in a twinkling of an eye, the breath is gone and you are no more. So if you're in a position of authority, do not use your position to oppress somebody else, either the poor or the rich. Give you what is due to them so that what is due to you can come to you. Do not think that this person is Yoruba, this person is Hausa. If you see where Yorubas in Lagos are beating an Igbo man or Hausa man, or where Igbos in our nature are beating a Yoruba man or Hausa man, you will hate the fact that you are a Nigerian. These are human beings for crying out loud. Now, if an Igbo man stays in Lagos, once they hear it's Igbo man, they will bring fire, bring fuel, quickly put fire on him. So also they will do to a Yoruba man in our nature, in the east. Why are we like this? So also Hausa man will deal with a Yoruba man or Igbo man in the north, for crying out loud. Then you all go to sleep after doing all that. That is witchcraft. Thank you for allowing me to use this period. I got to go. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, ma. Thank you. So, with these two men that I have left, I'm going to be focusing on the role played by leadership that has allowed tribalism and racism, or I think racism is tribalism is the African version of racism. So, I want to ask James. Does tribalism influence government policies and appointments in Uganda? Do you think so? If you are okay to answer that question. If you don't want to answer it, please feel free to because I don't want you to be in trouble with
No, no. Well, thank you, Paul. Thank you. I think belonging, like Village Boy said, belonging to tribes is partly a blessing, but it is the practices that come later that make it make it become tribalism, and then that tribalism is looked at as tribalism is simply because maybe the practices of that particular sect or particular tribe have affected the rights of the other persons that do not belong to that particular tribal particular tribe. Now, here in Uganda, like I mentioned earlier, well, of course, the leaders have a role to bring down the negative effects or the negative impacts of tribalism. I think I would largely say that tribalism would not be a thing that needs to be promoted anywhere, okay? Unless there are best practices of those tribes that need to be copied, then well to go. Because here in Uganda, there is one dominant particular tribe, the Baganda. They are the majority, and largely it's their language actually that has cut across everywhere. And these are the people who live within the central region called Buganda. Now, I have over time seen that, and I talked to some of them, that I think civilization, like it started in Africa, it started in Egypt. I think civilization in Uganda started in Uganda. Why? Because majority of what they do in their cultures or in their culture is what is copied elsewhere. If, for instance, you attend marriage ceremonies lately, the dressing, the eating, the general conduct of the function is more often a copycat of what is done in Uganda, including the music. You will find the Luganda music cutting across the entire country. Whether they understand the language or not, it is the music that plays everywhere. So there are some of those tenets, the positive ones, that I would really imagine that the leaders can probably promote, or in a spirit of trying to promote cultural tourism. It's no harm to find a Mukonzo putting on a kanzu, for instance. It's no harm to find a Munyangole putting on a gomasi, traditional gomesi. So these are some of the very good things that I would want probably to move forward. But when it comes to the real leadership, and here I'm looking at the political leadership for that matter, where certain ministries now have been carved simply because a certain tribe X was missing on the list. And I don't think this should be the way to go. We need to graduate from some of those, I would call them minute kind of privileges, because in any case, a minister serves the entire country, okay? A member of parliament serves the entire constituency, regardless of who belongs to which tribe in that constituency or not. So we should not actually go that extreme of saying, so because we want inclusivity, so suppose you have a ministry, or rather a cabinet of 60 ministers, and you have over 200 tribes. Will you create sub-ministries to want to cater, for everybody to be included? I think that is not really right in my view. So going forward, I would wish that we, even as we discuss, we reflect on the negative tribal implications that have actually happened here in Africa. In Kenya, for instance, in 2007, you will realize that there was a very serious civil war because of the politics, where so much blood was lost, simply because tribe X felt that we were the ones supposed to be in power, and tribe Y was. So you could see that kind of civil unrest, which was not good anyway. So those are some of the things that really, as we advocate, as we set the new page for Africa, we should actually be going beyond some of those tribal inclinations. Look at Somalia, for instance. For the last 20 years, they have been actually suffering because of tribal issues. The war that was there was partly because, or largely because of tribalism. The same thing that is happening in Eastern Congo. So those are things that the leaders really should come out and say, no, we should have to set a standard for African leaders, that an African leader is one who will look at humanity, regardless of whether you are short or brown or dark or whichever language you speak. Because in any case, if leaders are there to, extend services closer to the people or bring services to the people, we are talking of roads, we are talking of electricity, we are talking of water, we are talking of education. I don't know which water is for which tribe in Africa. I don't know. Even if it means a money economy, I have never seen a Yoruba money, a Yoruba nairas, or Igbo nairas, or Waganda money, or I don't know. These things actually don't work at the end of that day. So if we want to drive Africa to greater horizons for prosperity, then we should actually address issues of humanity. And here I'm looking at human rights. If everyone needs to enjoy the right to education, let everyone enjoy the right to education, regardless of their tribal inclination. If each one has to enjoy their right of worship, let them enjoy the right of worship. I am privileged. The Catholic Church, which I subscribe to, can actually send a bishop from another tribe to another tribe. I follow what is happening in Nigeria. For instance, I know that Archbishop Kaigama of Abuja is not a native of that area. He has just been transferred from Jos. But get back to the south in South Africa, you will realize that there has been this so-called xenophobia. Africans, killing fellow Africans. Nigerians are not needed in South Africa. Ugandans are not needed. I mean, this is where we should actually, we should be talking about how do we live together other than how do we separate together. What we need is electricity. I don't know electricity. If you switch on your switch, whether it will tell you now this one you have switched on for Hausa, or this one you have switched on is for, those things don't matter. So we should address things that matter. And how are we going to address those things that matter? I am looking at, can we, as Mama has just mentioned, love. Can we continue promoting love right from the family setting? Because this is where these differences start from, even before we go to church. Okay?
Wait,
the
just
feeling of
me, we'll come back to you so that you probably
okay.
do a conclusion in a few minutes, please. I wrote this question down and I wrote Village Boy in front of it. And the question is this: what is the possibility of designing a law, maybe for instance in Nigeria, that will guide us and mitigate the effect of tribalism? And then I also wrote that, is it possible to establish a standing policy that, abhor tribalism in governance?
Yeah, the route of law, the policy, they are still the same route. But there are things I believe cannot and should not be legislated. Because if you know from beginning, most of this thing, when you bring a child and innocent children together, maybe between age 2, 3, 4, and the parents don't say anything to them, and you put all these children together in a field, open field, to play, the children will play with themselves. But most often when you see a parent draw one child, say, no, you are not permitted to play with that child, then the child withdraws. So the issue of communitarianism, I don't see it as an issue of law or policy. It's an issue of re-educating ourselves. That is where leadership comes in. Religious leaders, political leaders. Especially in Africa that we are so religious. If you begin to preach love, if you begin to preach common humanity, right from the home, from the parents, from the leaders in the churches, in the mosque, from leaders in politics, then we can achieve that. If you want to bring law about that, even to enact that law, you will see the kind of argument that will happen. It's not even going to happen. because they were the lawmaker in Nigeria. You know, they are used to exchanging blow. They will box themselves in the chamber if you want another kind of law. I don't think it's more of morality than legal. It's a moral. It's a call to moral renaissance. It's a call to morality. It's a morality to see, the humanity in another person. It's more ethical than legal. If you enact law, it means okay, if I play tribalism, you send me to jail. Will that solve the problem? No. But if people are being trained to be ethically, blind, I mean to be color blind, tribal blind. If there are the only area where law can come in is that okay, nobody should be denied employment because it's from a tribe. When you make those who are in charge of recruitment and other things accountable for for the actions, that is the area that law can come in. But if we train our children from beginning, from home, that they should see the common humanity in another person, then we'll be able to achieve a better result. Law is one thing, implementation is another thing, policy is one thing, implementation is another thing. If you make law for people who are not ready, whose conscience are not pricked, like Madame Dora was talking about having conscience. Conscience, ethics, moral, appeal to conscience more than law. So
in a situation where you have, for instance, President Buhari a few days ago argued the fact that Nigeria needs to maintain the grazing colony, even though it is leading to a lot of mishap in the country, and I mean everybody is making noise and talking about the mayhem that is being left behind each places that you have herdsmen. Yet, because I believe it's because he's a Fulani man, he himself has cows, and so that's why he's kind of maybe sympathetic. I don't know, maybe if that's the correct
yeah,
word to
yeah,
use.
he has cow, but he has a small ranch. His own cow is not roaming about.
Yeah,
I think
but
that
why is it? Why is it?
there are more issues from what from his utterances. There is what I would say his response to that question was more of an analog response. He's not a digital person, and maybe because of age, there are something we can easily excuse him about. So I don't want to bring that issue to color what we are discussing. So what you say, yes, we can see the obvious bias or prejudice, but it also shows that as people age, it become very relatively difficult to imbibe new information, new knowledge. So it was still we are looking for a current problem, and it's bringing old and archaic solution to it. That could be an excuse on the fact of age for him. But beyond what we are discussing is like, how do we proceed from here? And proceeding from here, he is not going to be a good role model for our discussion, because it's difficult for him now to begin to tell him to change his what he believes about certain things. It may not happen. But we can appeal to you, people of your age, people of my age, that hey, we have to start teaching our children to begin to see the humanity in another person. So that example, I think, is off the cliff, if you will permit me. It's
All right.
not one. It's not a good example at this moment.
All right. Uh, James, in conclusion, I want you to, suggest what do you think uh, we will be able to do as Africans, in terms of re-educating ourselves, because I think there is the need for serious re-education about the effect of tribalism in Africa itself, how it has regressed us. I read, while preparing for this, that tribalism has killed more people in Africa than any kind of war around the world. Even there was a particular paper that I read that stated that the number of people that died during the American Vietnam War was almost the same thing. I mean, the same size with the number of people that died in, I think, in Sudan. Around that time, there was a civil war, an ethnic war. Meanwhile, the population of America compared to that country is almost times three. Yet, the number of people that die in a war that was premeditated, that's so. How do we educate ourselves? What do we need to do, James? Unmute yourself. Okay, there's noise there. Okay. You have to unmute yourself, James.
Yes, thank you, Paul. Thank you. Just like I mentioned earlier, yes, tribalism has really taken the place of democracy, and because there has not been any efforts to build strong democratic institutions, that's why tribalism has taken over that space. So it is my humble view that African states, African governments really build very strong democratic institutions that will actually look at human rights as human rights and not substitute human rights with the tribalism, because tribalism comes with all that is favoritism, comes with all those other loopholes that have been mentioned here earlier. That's what I would actually suggest. But also, on the contrary, alongside that, I would say that it is high time African leaders really look at uniting on common political programs other than uniting on tribal inclinations, tribal sentiments. Suppose we united as a people, as African leaders, to ensure that we have a competitive advantage in the international market. Does that call for any tribe? We are looking for market, and that is what we are talking about. If we are building roads, for instance, infrastructure is what we need, then it is the infrastructure that we should actually bring forward, other than the what? Other than the roads. I mean, other than the tribes. And so we should be able to do this through probably music. Music is a very big tool. Music speaks to the soul. Music speaks to the heart. So the art and music and art industry can actually have to be improved, because I have listened to Nigerian music here. You know very well that Nigerian musicians have been coming to Uganda. I have been watching Nigerian movies. I have grown watching the Peshe Suzukas, the Aki and Popos, and the Usofis. I mean, I have grown watching these guys. So if they act plays that spread love, it is what I will quickly pick. We all listen to the music of the late Lucky Dube. It cut across, the entire continent. If the music from Congo comes, so depending on the art and the music and the composition, this can actually bind us together. This morning, I was just writing to a Nigerian musician called Mase Chino, a gospel artist. I can't spend 2 days minus singing her songs, but I've never met her. So I look at her as a sister, even when I've not met her physically. I would one day wish I could actually probably meet her. The other thing that I would want us to put forward is patriotism. Can we love our countries much more than the tribal inclinations where we come? Can Nigerians love Nigeria so passionately? Can Ugandans love Uganda and put Uganda first? Each time I heard President Trump, the current president of the former president of America, after every other speech, he would say, "God bless America, America first." How many Nigerians, how many Ugandans, how many South Africans say South Africa first, Uganda first, Nigeria first? Oh, can we actually reach a point where we are saying Africa first? You see, these are some of the things that actually I'm thinking about. And very lastly, I could look at the aspect of professionalism in whatever we do. Professionalism, because professionalism cuts across, it doesn't know religion, doesn't know the height, doesn't know, it's about the know-how. It's not about the know-who. The know-who is tribalism, but the know-how is what is professionalism that I'm talking about. So as I conclude, those are some of the things that I would really want our generation, our leaders, our religious leaders, cultural leaders to think about. Even cultural leaders. We have cultural institutions here that have very good programs. There's a cultural institution in Uganda that has a radio station, has a TV station, has a water making factory. And so when we are taking this water, does it choke those who are not belonging to that particular cultural institution? No. When we are watching that TV of that cultural institution, does the TV switch off because we are watching that? It doesn't. So can we go beyond our individual interior facets of tribalism to things that build us and that take our countries and our continent forward? I thank you.
Thank you very much, James. I'm very grateful. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask the village boy to summarize, but in summarizing, I have one last question for you. And fortunately, James mentioned it briefly, and that is the issue of patriotism. Do you think the concept of patriotism among African leaders, or even Africans generally, in dealing with issues versus tribal influence, I mean, do you sense confusion in this? Are we loyal, or are we our tribalism, our patriotism, is it towards the tribe or to the nation that we belong to in larger sense?
Well, thank you very much. I think when you talk about patriotism in terms of the followers, I think there's an elite manipulation here, especially if you want to look from the lens of Nigerian patriotism. The politicians, for instance, when they wanted to garner votes, they either appeal to religious patriotism or tribal patriotism. But when they are in power, it becomes elitism in the sense that they only take care of their elites. Because if you look at the situation in Nigeria, you can say the North has been in power more, at the center of power more than any other tribe. And we also know by poverty index that the North is where we have the poorest of the poor in the country. So because the leader themselves did not appeal, they did not show good example of patriotism to the nation. And because after elections, the people also know, unfortunately, that these people are not even patriotic to them. But unfortunately, they keep on bribing their way through us, giving us part of what belongs to what they have stolen. And we forget that these people are not patriotic. There is no patriotism across, if you want to use a Nigeria example. For instance, during the NSAS, it is unpatriotic when a citizen holds a national flag for a soldier to shoot at them. But we know what happened during the NSAS. This guy was waving the flag, but this guy did not care. They kept on shooting, and they saw the national flag. That even symbolically shows that we are a bunch of unpatriotic people. So I mean, there's no better example I can give more than that. What happened during the NSAS showed that we don't even understand what patriotism means. There was a video I watched. A young Chinese, the boy should be like 3 or 4 years, no less, but 2 or 3 years. This guy was crying, and the national anthem of the country of Chinese was being played, and he stood up and kept quiet and stood up and remained standing until when the national anthem was played. And after the national anthem, the guy resumed his crying. And I said, wow. Even if they are playing national anthem like this, and people are eating their kobe in a pepper soup joint, they won't leave it. They will continue what they are doing. They don't, who cares? If the president want to address the country and you are, even as adults, you are doing this thing, because this may look very trivial, but that is where it begins. If you see that young boy, I was so impressed, crying for whatever he was looking for. But because he has been primed that, look, when you hear the national anthem, you stand up. He left his crying and stood up. And after the national anthem, he resumed his crying. That doesn't happen in Africa. That doesn't happen in Nigeria. We need a lot of civic education. We also need a lot of demonstration by leaders to lead and to show us how to be patriotic to our nation. I can only speak about Nigeria in this instance. Patriotism is not even, it's not a priority. It's not, if you list of the things that take precedence in our country, I don't know which number patriotism will come into. There's nothing like patriotism at all anywhere. When people talk about Nigeria, they are like looking, they want to manipulate you to gain something to themselves. Not because nobody cares for that nation. No leader has shown that I truly care for Nigeria. Most leaders we see parade now are people who care for their pocket or for what they can get. They care for their own. Now there's a new tribe there, not by language, but tribe of corrupt people. Their common language is corruption, to steal, to pillage our commonwealth. That is the only thing they mean, or what you may call stomach infrastructure. They care about their stomach than they care for the nation. Nigeria is an orphan when it comes to patriotism. We are an orphan, we have no mother, we have no father. So that's why we are just roaming about the streets aimlessly. I hope I'm not too sarcastic.
Thank you very much. Viewers, thank you very much, very, very much. I'm grateful to Mary Fikayo, who has continuously engaged on the comments on the comment section. Thank you very much. Thank you, James from Uganda, and Mommy Dorothy, who has she has some other engagement, and the Village Boy. We also have some other meeting after this. So thank you very much, viewers. We are going to be back next weekend. Thank you so much. Please do check out our website. Today we posted, on Saturdays we post news, summary of the world events, news that happen around the world. So we do a summary, weekly summary of what happens. So please do check out on the website. And we began to post Nigerian news also daily. Thank you very, very much. Bye bye for now.